Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Professor Tom Berry. You can call me Tom. I am the instructor for the class SOC 212, Sociology, Race, Class, and Gender. I look forward to meeting you this first week and then working with you throughout the course of the term. The goal of this video is to provide you an overview of the class, walk you through the requirements, some of the stuff we do on the first day of the class, and then just kind of share with you how to navigate Canvas and then get you all set up for completing the first assignment, which is due the night before our first class meeting this week. So let's go to Canvas. If you're at your homepage, you should see all of your classes. Here's SOC 212. Yeah, and it's got this calendar, cool calendar sort of visual, kind of helps track through a little bit. I'll put this video will be in week 0 folder. Give you a little bit of, there's a sort of an explanation about this class. I'll kind of provide you a little bit of just sort of an overview. In this class, we kind of look at the past, or use our sociological imagination. We go back into the past, understand historical events, and then we can use that kind of history to understand the present. And our focus on this class is trying to understand systems of privilege and systems of domination, or systems of inequality more generally. So looking at relationships between different groups, how those are structured, how inequalities are structured within society itself, and impact the lived experience of different groups of people. The content for the class is a lot of different mediums. So there's articles from chapters, there's some academic journal articles, popular press articles. And then I've been including more and more podcasts into the class, which I think is a great way to get out a lot of content. I think, the information is informing, it's engaging. It does take you time to process. So the class is structured in a way, like every week we have a video lecture online that you review, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more detail in a minute. And then there's a lecture part, and then there's kind of the course content part as far as like articles, podcasts, and other materials. So it's like every week, it's like that's kind of how the class is sort of broken up. I think the articles and the information is they're current, they're engaging, they're informative, and as I said, it just takes you a little bit of time to process. So give yourself ample time to work with the materials each week. So our focus on the class is on understanding and analyzing. I always think it's really important to state that in all sociology classes, but in this class maybe in particular. We all will come into the classroom with lived experiences. We are all have a lot of lived experience that shapes the way that we view the world. And while each of us have our own unique, the value, there's great value in our own unique perspective, we have to also step back from that and look at larger social kind of processes and social perspectives. The content, when you're reviewing content, the focus is on understanding and analyzing, not interjecting kind of personal opinion or personal evaluation. So it's demonstrating understanding. So just kind of keep that in mind throughout the course of the term. We're just trying to use this material to try to understand. It's not about agreement or disagreement, just trying to use the material to understand social structure, social inequality, this social world. Let's see, how do I go back here? So it's a little bit about the class. And there's my bio. You can kind of look through that. You can kind of give you a little bit of background. Just want to give you a little bit of information about myself, sort of how I arrived into the field of sociology and sort of what I was doing before that. So I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. So let's go to the syllabus. Yeah, so okay, we meet on Thursdays in the class. Since we're in this climate that we are in, if you become sick, something happens, stay home. It's always more important for your own safety and for the safety of others to take the steps that you need in order to, take care of yourself and to make an environment, to ensure that our environment is being protected as well. And then probably, then always, it's, face mask compliant in terms of the classroom, in terms of being on campus. within buildings on COCC campus. So I think that message is pretty strong. Don't foresee any problems or issues there. So we have, if you do miss class for some reason, let me know, and then we can, I'm going to try this term where if a student misses a class, they can meet with me, send me a message. You don't have to necessarily give me an explanation why. I mean, just let me know that you are not able to make it to class today, and then set up a time with me within a week to be able to meet and talk about the course content. Allow that to happen. I'll give everyone in class, one opportunity to do that. So if you're not able to be in class, to kind of make up that missed class in that format. It's not really a makeup, just a sort of just to kind of reassure that when you and I meet, we'll kind of talk about the articles and the content and kind of walk through them. So that's that there. Basically, our outcomes for the class is we're trying to analyze the social world and social phenomena, and it helps us to understand human behavior. And that's really important because we have things like social policies that shape our world and our experience. If we don't have solid understanding or good, clear understanding of human behavior, it can get us into tricky places that we could be supporting policies or ideas that are actually counterproductive. So it's important to develop analytical frameworks to understand human behavior, helps us to become more empowered as individuals, and also in terms of shaping the social world. And then the second social science outcome is to foster personal growth, developing, enhancing our perspectives, developing critical thinking skills, and to better appreciate the diverse social world that we live in. And then we have very specific outcomes for this class, look at relationships between a lot of different social positions, class, race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, and other areas of difference. We examine and evaluate different perspectives, different frameworks, and then we apply theories and ideas to the course content. As you can see, the breakdown for the class, we have weekly assignments, and I'll kind of walk through one here in a minute. There's a film review near midway through the term. There's an attendance, and so every class period is 10 points for attendance and participation for being actively engaged in class. So either you're there or you're not for the attendance points. And then we have this assignment. It's called the Matrix of Domination assignment. And that'll be explained later on, basically kind of working in small groups and developing a visual model of what this framework of the Matrix of Domination that we'll talk about the first part of the term. And then there's something in addition. It's probably going to be maybe, I haven't figured it out yet, but either an additional assignment that's going to be part of the student showcase, which is at the end of the year. That's held the last Wednesday of the term. So more to come on that. So you can kind of walk through, you can kind of look through all this different information about the different assignments. Just FYI on the weekly assignment is turned in the night before our class session. So Wednesday nights by midnight, by 11:59 p.m. is when it's due. And then 15% grade deduction if it's turned in after that time. And then they have to be turned in within 1 week of the original due date. Let me kind of go back here real quick too. So there's no objective exams in this class, true, false, multiple choice, that kind of thing. It's written work. It's demonstrating, understanding through writing. It's a great way to learn through writing as well. And it puts a lot more I don't know, in your area. So you have at your own leisure to be doing the written work for the class. Since we don't have these formal exams, we're not trying to memorize specific terminology, but we're trying to use the terminology. So I don't know, it's just a different format for assessment. So just want to say, it's written work throughout the course of the term, midterm, and the final, same thing. There's some things to be aware of too, just resources for you. If you need support with technology, there's some resources on campus. Definitely reach out if you need some help with technology. If you have a documented disability or believe you might have a documented disability, you'll be able to qualify for a disability status. There's contact information there. There's a non-discrimination policy. It's important just to be aware of that as being a student on campus. Title IX, gender equity protections that are part of our campus as well in all institutions. There's counseling services that are available for students, which is a great resource for students. So some contact information there. We'll talk about the principles of community in class, but basically trying to promote certain values and ideals to promote empathy and understanding, respecting the dignity of others, respecting the voice of others, and creating a inclusive and safe learning environment. There's also safe zone training on campus. And that might be some important resource as well. And there's a link for you to access about more information about safe zone training. In case you're wondering, there's no insurance for the class. You don't get insurance. I don't know why we include that, but that's there. Here's another great resource, basic needs. Yeah, you're struggling financially, things going on, housing, food, etc. Great resource on campus, a good contact person to be able to, help support you as you move through the term. Important in terms of do your own work throughout the course. So plagiarism, there's policy about making sure you're doing your own work. It's all written work. So we have, you're reading articles, listening to podcasts, summarizing ideas. Just always put it in your own voice. So take notes over the article. But then when you transcribe that and you put it into summary points, make sure that you use your own voice and your own words to demonstrate your own understanding versus just repeating, from the author. If you do use a direct quote, put it in quotation marks, and then source citation. You don't need to. There's nothing really in the class that you need to provide a source citation, I don't believe. Maybe the midterm and the final, but for the most part, it's just your own words defining, explaining the content. And then expectations in terms of the classroom. I view the class as really a unique experience. It's this relationship between, we're all in this space to engage in deeper understanding of the social world. So we come to class kind of prepared through reading, reviewing material, and then coming to class to discuss the content. Which, like I said before, we all have unique experiences. Bring those into the classroom to also respect the values and the ideas and the experiences of other people in the classroom as well. So engage, be vocal, be respectful in terms of the viewpoints and perspectives. People's lives are complicated. So there may be times where, man, you just don't have the bandwidth to be able to do something. Just keep me in the loop. That's kind of a key part. If you start to struggle in some sort of way, I'm here to support you. It's a partnership between me and you. So trying to figure out just how to be, on your part, be prepared, be engaged, complete the coursework. And then if you run into bumps down the road, to keep me in the loop, to figure out if there's a way to support you through that. Okay, so here's the course schedule. Just kind of walks you through the requirements for the week. I won't go through all this. It's also broken down in the weekly schedule. So if I kind of go back into Canvas, it's all broken. Basically the syllabus is broken down into this weekly overview of these modules. So just a different, I don't know, whichever one works for you, Mike. You might like to have the syllabus just so you can have that quick visual, but then it's also laid out here. Okay, so then let's get into kind of like week one. Every week I provide an overview, kind of explain kind of what is the goal of the week, kind of what's going on. Always important to read that. There may be some specific assignment information, directions, and things of that sort. There's the video lecture. So there's a video that I post on YouTube. The videos are probably, I can make this a little bit bigger. The videos are probably between, I don't know, I'd probably 40 minutes to 60 minutes, something like that, are the video lectures. There's a PowerPoint. I put the PowerPoints in case you want to follow along, or you want to reference something, or if there's a link in there that you want to access, the PowerPoint is there. The reading and course materials are all here. There's no textbook for the course, so all the readings and other course materials are just made free and available. They're there. So rock on with that. And then there's the lecture and reading prompts. Let me open this up. Open this up and kind of walk through it. This is the assignment format for each week or for the week. So each week there's a different one. So, okay, so here's the first one for week number 1. A little bit of an overview. These prompts are a way to engage in the material, a way to process information. So we come to class with some common knowledge between all of us. And when I'm reviewing your responses to the prompts, I'm looking for just sort of a general impression. Are you engaged with the material? Are you providing sufficient depth of information to demonstrate understanding? And are you accurate in your discussion? So that's kind of like format. That's what I'm looking for, sort of general impression. I'm not grading for grammar and syntax and things like that. It just has to be communicated so that I can understand. Be thorough, be sufficiently thorough, be accurate, use your own voice, and you're all good. Okay, so 2 parts of it for each weekly assignment. Part A is review of the lecture, and I provide specific prompts. In the past, I didn't do this. I just said, okay, summarize theme number 1. Here's some general ideas, and it worked okay. But I think this is much better. I started doing this at the end of last term, of giving students more narrow direction, just like give them like a focus for each of the different themes. So anyway, they can kind of walk through theme number 1. So 1986, the government established Martin Luther King Day as a federal holiday. How does this holiday reflect the functionalist perspective? And that will make sense after you watch the video lecture. Theme number 1 should be able to apply the functionalist perspective to Martin Luther King Day. Use the language. So like things like this is a good example, like for theme number 1, use the content and language from the content, concepts, theories, ideas that are in the lecture in your write-up. So in this first one, theme number 1A, is you're talking about Martin Luther King Day, it's a federal holiday, and the functionalist perspective. Use the language of functionalism to communicate, well, this is functionalism and here's how it's applied to Martin Luther King Day. So keep that in mind, just like defining, bringing forward concepts and ideas from the video lecture into your write-up as a way of reviewing. Okay, so that's part A. And then part B are the articles, podcasts, other resources that for that particular week. So for this week, first week, there's 2 required articles recommended. This Call Me article is recommended. And it's a really fairly short, I think it's 5 pages long. It's a summary of the 3 sociological perspectives. If you've had SOC 201 before, great, awesome. I would encourage you to read it because it'll be a good reminder. And it also provides just sort of, I don't know, just a different author's voice in explaining the 3 theories. I think it can be really helpful. Hold on a second. Got to get the coffee in for the day. Second one, intersecting depressions. This is a more theoretical article. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult to read. I don't want to scare you, but this is probably one of the more difficult readings for the term. And part of it, it's, you know, how she's writing. She's an academic. She's writing for primarily an academic audience. And it gets pretty theoretical and complex. The language is a little bit lofty. But there's some core stuff in here that we're going to use throughout the course of the term. So do your best job at kind of explaining. So for example, explaining epistemology and its importance to understanding the social world. So after you read the article, she talks about it a little bit. Communicate your best understanding. Don't get too hung up whether or not you're like full on, like you got it if you're confused about something. I'm more interested in you exploring, like even saying like, this is what I understand. I don't really fully get it, but this is what I kind of understand about this. So again, these prompts are meant as a way to, a vehicle through which to, in which to be able to engage in the material, to review. So it can communicate understanding. And the other articles are very short ones called White Privilege. This goes back from 1988. There's kind of a historical reason why I include this. We'll talk about it in class. And here's some specific questions that are from the article. What I put here, okay, it's selected for a few reasons. First, it's foundational write-up. This is like, you know, this is a this write-up on white privilege, 1988. So what is, it's quite a long time ago, right? So we're almost, it's 35 years ago, 33 years ago. This was written. It was provided. It led to a lot of discussion about privilege and inequality. That discussion had been going on a long time historically, but this really launched it in a lot of ways during a time period when a lot of things were opening up in terms of examining systems of inequality. And it also, I think the important part of talking about this article, it's an opportunity to discuss limitations of McIntosh's work. So it's 1988. We think about inequalities and privilege in a little bit different way today. So some foundational stuff in the article, still true, still valid. Other things it's more nuanced. It's more dynamic. It's more in depth than she's writing about in 1988. So she, for example, she talks about multiple parts of our identities and their influence. So gender and race and class, but not a lot about intersecting what Hill Collins does and intersecting oppressions or intersecting privileges. This is more contemporary, much more dynamic, much more detailed in terms of understanding. Anywho, that's the format. So every week it's video lecture. And then the second part is coverage of the articles or podcasts, whatever might be there. And what do I have? There's one more thing. Okay, yeah, here's the readings and course materials. Boom. This might be interested, if you're interested as well. This is pretty good for the first week. This is not required to listen to, but it's a podcast from some really cool podcast called The Social Breakdown. 3 PhD students in sociology are kind of breaking it down. And they have a podcast on intersecting oppressions that I think does a great job of kind of getting into the content. So if you want a little bit more information or a little bit more clarity, you can jump into that. Okay, I think that's it. Hold on. Okay, so now I'm back. I think there's one more thing. So this is where you go to submit the assignment. So boom, go there. Click on that, and you'll be able to submit the assignment. Hold on one second. All right, sorry for that little hiccup. Yeah, so it's because the course isn't opened yet. So anyway, you'll click here to submit the assignment, and you can submit in format of Microsoft Word, a PDF. You can convert a document to a PDF and submit it there. It does go through a plagiarism check, which I think is valuable for me, but also for you too, just to be aware. It's there's just another filter in terms of looking at material. Yeah, so welcome to the class. Look forward to spending time together over the next 10 weeks exploring sociology, race, class, gender. It's a really valuable class. I think it's a critically important class, and I also approach it, the class from a perspective of generating empathy and understanding. Empathy meaning cognitive empathy, so our ability to analyze and think through complex social issues to help us better understand individuals, groups, and society itself. And I think it leads to a lot of self-empowerment as well, a greater understanding of oneself and one's journey in life. So that's kind of I think one of the values or benefits of the class. So look forward to meeting you. If you have any questions, drop me an email, and enjoy the rest of your week, and see you on Thursday.